Good evening, everyone. So, yeah, let me know in the chat, in the comment, basically, if you're able to hear me. So, just give me a heads up if I'm audible to you guys. Okay, just give me heads up on the chat if I'm audible. Quick check if everything is cool. If you're like, if I'm audible, just verifying the mic setting and everything. Help me in the chat, guys, if everything is fine. Okay. So we'll get started soon, guys. Just give me a moment, like 1 minute or 2 minutes, so that others can join, and then we'll kick start our today's session. We'll get started in a moment, guys. Cool. So give a heads up on the chat, guys, if I'm audible to everyone. Just give a heads up on the chat. Audible to everyone? Perfect. I see a couple of people basically saying yes, audible to you guys. Okay, we'll give another minute or so before we start our session. Waiting for a couple of more people to join, and then we'll start our sessions. Meanwhile, let me know how you are doing. What's new going on? Anyone planning or preparing for interviews, or anyone already started giving interviews, or any of those things? Do share with me. So I'm listening the chats basically, and I will try to reply as much as possible in the chat as well. So if anyone already planning for interviews, or do share some of the performance interview related question that you have faced in past, I will try to cover those questions as well. So I will be happy to take those questions. So do share in the chat. I'm here to take those questions. Great. So yeah, we'll get started sharp with the content in next 2 minutes. And meanwhile, I'm listening to the chat, anything that's coming over there, anyone doing interview preparation, any kind of a question that you are facing, any challenges that you are facing. I will try to cover all those questions as much as possible while we are covering the web performance in today's session. So we are going to touch upon web performance, different kind of activities, different kind of a performance layer that we have. What are the things that matters, how to approach interview questions basically related to web performance. Many of those things we'll try to cover in today's. So at least I will give you good glimpses around what to cover, how to cover, and in what depth basically you should start covering those things. Meanwhile, let me try to take a few questions. Okay, I see Ankit saying you're preparing for interview. Okay, I get you. I'm about to join a gameplay company gambling. Should I join? Gambling related. So from learning perspective, there are great learning that you will have in terms of performance, in terms of scale, in terms of security. Yes, there are a lot of things to learn, but again, you have to see compliances, how big company it is, how stable it is. If it is new company altogether and they are doing something on gambling side of thing, there are a lot of compliances that comes into the picture. So be careful on that side, I will recommend. So be careful. If it is well established company, I know there are companies like for cricket IPLs and whatnot. We know many of those companies. I'm not going to name them, but you know those are reliable companies, and many company do basically join, right? Similarly, multiple you can say companies have the sector related to gaming. Example, even in Flipkart, you have something, you can play games and you can win rewards and a lot of those things. So those kind of things are okay, but it is pure gambling, then you have to cautious. Given interview for 3.5 years of experience. Okay, so I was asked to build a custom statement management that should work in all the framework and it should be reactive. Jitu, oh, that's nice question. Yeah, so you have to play with the reactivity. You have to have a good understanding of fundamentals of JavaScript. So that's a good question. Maybe I can touch upon this question sometime in any of the other videos. But yeah, that's interesting. What are the challenges as a what are the challenges in React.js currently? Please answer this. When you say what are the challenges in terms of the questions you are asking about, or what are we asking basically over here? So, guys, I'm just taking a couple of questions from the YouTube chat basically. Before we get started, we are going to get started with the web performance in couple of minutes. So, I'm trying to take as much as question I can before we kick start our session, today's session. uh, React, if you talk about, people do ask a lot of question in terms of your experiences. How do you create custom hook? How do you optimize or basically maintain the performance, right? Enhance the performance of a React application. They will give you a lot of scenario based questions basically in React. And definitely in LLD, in interviews, people do ask to build you a small working fully functional component. So that are the bare minimum expectation that we have, right? So do like you will get machine coding round and you will be writing the LLD problem statement related to React, or in general React you can use. But even if you go with vanilla JavaScript, most of the companies do accept that. I see. What should we learn in current scenario? I have 5.5 year of experience. One of them, web performances for everyone, and I will highly recommend to keep focus on today's session and try to get maximum as you can. So I will be trying. I will try to be crisp and precise so that I give you enough direction to learn. At the same time, you have to go deeper, deeper, deeper as much as possible. Great. Great. So I think with that, we can get started with today's session. I will kick start the session and discussion, today's discussion basically, and let's see where it goes. I will be happy to answer as much as questions. Okay, there is another, what is that? Best way to increase the LH score when the basics like lazy loading above the fold, optimization, etc., are already taken care of. Okay, we can talk about that, KP. Don't worry. Senior front end level, how much CSS matters? Real based scenarios definitely do matters, and I will tell you there are a couple of things which you talk about in interviews. Most of the people understand that hey, you have worked on and you are good at that, right? So we'll cover all those questions, guys. Don't worry. I will try to take as much as possible questions in today's class. Perfect. Chalo. So let me share my screen and we will get started with the performance. Just do let me know if my screen is visible and I will try to fix the view so that more and more people can see the screen. And let me also get rid of, okay, let's do this. I hope my screen is visible to everyone. So quick check, guys. Everyone can view my screen, and yeah, just give a heads up, quick heads up if everything is good enough and you are able to see my screen. I can try one more thing if that works. Okay, I think that should be much better view for you guys. Okay, just give me a heads up. Visible perfectly fine. Perfect, perfect, perfect. Awesome. So, guys, what we are going to do, we are going to touch upon the web performance. Many people do mistake in terms of whenever they are asked about, hey, let's talk about performance, and people jump on how do you measure performance, right? So, as you grow in your career, there are a couple of things which are very, very important. One is you jump into the conclusion and say that, hey, this is performant and this is not performant. Let's take the action and whatnot. There is a other perspective. When you grow in your career, there are very, very fundamental things that you touch upon that showcase that you are senior, right? and you have more understanding, and you will be able to identify those root cause very much better. What I meant by, let's try to understand couple of things. We have to understand different layers. And how we are going to understand, consider you have a factory. So you have a factory, and now your responsibility of this factory is to manufacture beds. When I say you have to manufacture beds, like you cot basically, right? So you have to manufacture your bed, king size, queen size bed, and finally you have to deliver these beds to your customer. Guys, can you think about the different challenges? When I say challenges, the different challenges in order to ship it to the customer as soon as possible. What are those high level challenges that you could face when you are manufacturing something at the factory and shipping something to the customers? What are the different performance related, shipping related challenges you can think of? Let's see, guys, who all can think of. Come on, guys. I want to make this web performance discussions very interesting so that you can remember this always, instead of mugging up and basically going with couple of straightforward answers saying that, hey, you go for web vital and basically check LCP and also FID and all sort of thing. That doesn't help. I will help you. If you tackle the same you can say interview, and your answers are a bit different, that makes a next level impact in the interviewer's mind. And I will help you how to answer, how to see those things, how to tackle those performance related problems. So for that, a mind setup has to change, and I am going to help you. So first of all, help me, guys. If you have to manufacture a you can say bed or a cot, a king size, and you have to ship it to the customer, what are the performance challenges that you can think of that comes to your mind? What are the performance, and at what level these performance challenges can be? When I say level, you are using some transport mechanism that could be a challenging, right? So any of those things that comes to your mind, please help. What are the top level things that comes to your mind? What are those challenges? Performance challenges, anyone? I'm hearing the chat. So first thing that comes is, as you said correctly, there can be uh, manufacturing basically issues, right? There can be manufacturing issues. When I say manufacturing issues, you try to create a fully you can say non-detachable bed. So you created a king size bed that need to be transported at a single item. So that could be a challenge, because the bed can be heavy. Now everywhere you have to transport, your vehicle has to be big. Now your vehicle has to be big, you have to think about the road from where you can basically take that vehicle. Then it will be having huge weight, then you need more people to basically lift it basically in order to get it transport. And finally, in whichever house it is going, you have to ensure you have a very big lifts, you have ways to basically take that entire big bed basically into the room, and the gate should be enough so that it can take turns and whatnot which is needed. That could be one issue that could think of, right? Second is basically your vehicle plus your roads, that could be challenging. The vehicle basically you are leveraging in order to make it transport, the road you are basically taking in order to transport it, there could be a number of challenges, right? And finally, as I said, it could be issues at the consumer level, where it can be, there can be issues in the house. If the house doesn't have bigger gate, if the society does not have bigger entrance, if the lift doesn't have a service lift, and that too that can accommodate a bigger bed, right? All of those things basically you have to think about. Similarly, when you are building any web application, the similar kind of layer that exists in the web application also. Like example, when you build your application, if you don't think about building the application in a small chunk so that it can easily be transported, right? That could be one way of basically thinking. So the performance start from your development cycle. If you have screwed up your development, if you have screwed up your build, right, and you're thinking, I will tweak something, I will get best in terms of the performance, guys, that is not going to happen. So you will be limited with the options basically if you don't take care of the build and development. When you are manufacturing something, when you are doing the development or when you are building the application, right, when you are creating the final bundle of that, if you are not taking care, then you are eventually going to screw up your application. Like whatever tweak you do, it will hamper basically if your development and build is not taken in the right fashion. The second thing is your network layer, which is your transport network. So if you are not thinking about network layer, which is either you using 2G 3G, you are using HTTP 1, you are using HTTP 2, right? If you are lot of those things, right, how you are basically transporting those small bundles, are you caching those things basically on this layer or not, right? What kind of a item basically you are shipping over here, I will talk about those items. When I say example, when you have to when you have to ship a CSS or JavaScript or audio or video, there are different techniques that has to be taken care in the network layer. If you are not considering those things in the right fashion, then it is going to impact your final performance. And there is no single mantra to ship all the assets in the similar way, in the best optimized way. That doesn't happen, guys. Example, if you have to ship a paper courier, if you have to ship a hardware courier, if you have to ship a electronics item courier, if you have to ship a glass material courier, right, all of them need a different kind of delegation and handling in order to basically make it the best use of that, right, best way to transport and ship basically. Hence network layer do matter. And then finally, when you talk about, finally when you have network layer, what, as I said, asset, what kind of a assets basically you are using, right? And the other thing is on the rendering side. So you have to take care of in the network layer what kind of a assets basically eventually are going to come, how those assets are basically reaching, and then you have a rendering basically that you have to take care of, right? So these are certain critical things, guys, that you have to take care of. And when I say rendering, there are multiple kind of things that you have to think about. I can help you on that. One is, if you are using some framework, then probably React related optimization you have to think about. If you are maybe building something vanilla related JavaScript, then JavaScript optimization is basically you have to think about, right? So many of those things that will come into the picture, which is when it finally reaches the destination, which is your browser, how you are basically optimizing these things and leveraging to the best form, right? These are certain things that you have to think about, guys. Now whenever someone asks, you have to identify, hey, which layer I should optimize, where the problem is the problem at the time of development or build, or is the problem at the time of network layer, or it is the problem when it actually reaches to the customer browser, and then basically there is a performance glitch. Where is the performance glitch? If you are not able to identify well, then there will always be some challenges, right? Now talking about, once you, we will be talking, I will give you glimpses around each of these layers, what you can think of, what different kind of things basically that comes in the picture. I will give on that. The other thing that comes into the factor, which is, hey, I build an application and finally that is getting shipped. How do I measure certain things? Measuring performance is something which is very very important. Now there are two things that has to be kept in mind. One, when you are doing in the development where you have access to all the tooling, your website and blah blah blah, like example, you can leverage your browser to identify the performance. Example, you can use performance or lighthouse, basically performance tab, memory tab, or in short you can use lighthouse. When you have access to the browser on which the performance is lagging and you wanted to basically test it out, why not? But if you have to think about, your application is shipped, it is with n number of different people, there are millions of users who are using, there are different browsers, it can be desktop, it can be mobile, it can be, you can say, tab. Now your performance is not just limited to one single browser on which you are opening your application or you are developing your application. It is beyond that. Then you have to tackle or monitor those metrics in a much larger scale. There are n number of ways to basically do that. There are tools, there are platforms like Sentry, right? There are platforms like telemetry, right? Open telemetry, you can say. through which you can leverage lot of those things in much better way. There are many others, basically I'm not going to pull all of them, but again, these are certain things that you have to take care and tackle, basically that will help you. How do you measure now? Like, this is where to measure. In short, when I say this is where to measure, the other part basically that comes, guys, which is very important, which most of the people don't know what to measure. Like when we say, hey, performance, performance is a very generic statement, right? Saying that my page, my application has to be performant. It means it has to render as soon as possible, it has to be available, it has to be usable as soon as possible, which is okay, one of the vague term. But there is something which is very important, most of the people don't consider it, which is there is something called perceived performance. Something that can look faster to you may not look faster to me. Example, uh, maybe Rajdhani Express may look faster to a person living in somewhere in village, but at the same time, a person coming from Japan or China, they may be saying, hey, Rajdhani Express is slow, right? Because it can be perceived performance also. How do you perceive that particular item, right? It can be metrics wise, it can be always fast, but when you actually basically see that, it can be horrible. There can be multiple reasons because of that. It can be animation, it can be some loader kind of experience that you have added, how you are loading certain things. Basically there can be n number of reasons where actually the application is fast, but your perceived performance is something which had made it slow. So be cautious on those things which are very important. But again, when I say measuring has very important thing, where what need to be measured is very important. So there are, I will talk about, there are n number of metrics that you can measure, but there is a simplified version of metrics which are called web vitals. Web vitals basically says that there are n number of things that happens, keep on happening on the browser, in terms of from loading all these layers, from network layer to the asset layer, what happens in the rendering cycle, many of those things happen. But you don't have to monitor everything. I will tell you certain metrics really matters in terms of performance. What are those metrics basically? So those metrics are couple of metrics. Let me highlight those metrics. The first metrics basically we call it LCP. The second metrics we call it FID, and third metrics we call it CLS, right? So when I say LCP, is the largest contentful paint basically that we talk about. I can give you some glimpses. Let me try to give you some glimpses if I can. So when I say largest contentful paint is okay, let me help you with the image. Hopefully you will be able to let me know if the image is visible to you guys. Quick check. Are you guys able to see the image? How many of you, let's also talk about how many of you know about these web vitals like LCP, FID, and CLS? People who know and people who don't know. Maybe just give something on the chat. Hey, yeah, I know that and I have monitored those things. And people who have not done, people can say that, hey, no, I have not monitored. I don't know what these are basically. It's completely okay, guys. I wanted to hear more on the chat. So do share on the chat. Do share on the chat, so that I get an idea if you have monitored, if you have not monitored, what it is, how it is. Let's see. Trying to hear more from you guys. People who have used, just come in the chat. Just share in the chat. Perfect. I see a couple of people basically talking about. Okay, so let's understand from this very simple example from the image so that you will remember it always, guys. When we say first LCP, which is called first contentful paint, right? So in this, what we are saying, some first meaningful paint that you see on the screen, right? Which says that, hey, now I can see something getting loaded, right? That is something which is matter, which is your first contentful paint. Second is largest contentful paint. Basically, when we say the maximum, the majority of basically portion. So example, if you see in this case, the it seems like your entire content is basically ready in this particular case, right? Your largest contentful paint, in this case it could be a bigger image or a hero image, it can be anything that is ready basically on the screen, and you can see almost my screen is ready and 100% of content is basically available in that, right? Now there is another thing basically, if we talk about, which is first contentful, this is largest contentful. So in LCP what matters, so when the largest contentful, which is the maximum, you can say, portion of of your first fold is ready, so that it looks like your website is basically all set, that is something which is important. Second is FID. FID means you may be able to see the content on the page, but when you try to interact, when you try to click, when you try to submit a form, when you try to input some data into the form which is visible, right? And you are not able to perform any activity. You are trying to click, but it is not actually clicking. It is not performing any activity. So FID is the first interactive, it is the first input delay where the first time you are able to interact, right, that delay from the starting, from your first contentful pane to the moment when it started interacting is your delay. The more the delay, the worst your site is, the worst performance it is, right? You have to improve the performance. The lesser the FID, the better the performance of your application is, right? The third thing which most of the people don't understand well, and most people don't care much, which is called LCS, which is your cumulative layout shift. What does it mean? You might have seen many of those times when you actually have some banner or image where all the other pages load and your image starting from top to bottom, it start rendering and start shifting the other content. You might have seen some banner on the top. When it comes, it shift all the content below, right? Example, this image, this when this image start rendering, the content below will start shifting. Similarly, all those product image, or in this case news image that you see, when the image renders, the content will start shifting. So what happens generally when you don't know how much a portion of your screen in terms of width and height these images are going to take, so you don't give the dimension, and when it start rendering, depending on its size, it starts shifting. So the right way, the better way, we can always talk about how to optimize this thing. But do remember one important thing: if you already know what are those dimension of images which are going to render, and you can create those layouts, that will be much better. Okay, I will give you one example that you will never ever forget. Example: when you construct your home, right, your house, how do you construct your house? You first decide the layout of your house, like where the wall will be, where the pillars will be, where your kitchen, and every layouting is basically done. When I say layouting is basically done in terms of inches, it is inches perfect, right? When we say in terms of web, it is pixel perfect. So inch by inch, that is measured well, and you know exactly where these wall, where your pillars, where the ladder, where the staircase, whatever basically are going to be placed in your house. And once you know those layout, you keep on adding the walls, pillars, right, on top of it. Similarly, your layout has to be very concrete and decided well before it is started rendering. It shouldn't be like you first decide, hey, let me uh, maybe build a pillar, and after some time you decide, hey, the pillar is at wrong place, let me try to shift because my sofa cannot fit in the room if the pillar is here, right? You are screwed up. You cannot basically do this. If you are doing, then you have to redesign everything. Similarly, when your browser starts shifting the content because the size of the images are bigger, example, then in internally it is basically destroying everything and trying to shift everything again and again. So to you, it seems like, hey boss, it is just shifting here and there, but internally it is destructuring a lot of those, you can say, rendering cycle and trying to redesign things again and again, which is costly, right? Uh, INP I can talk about, Anurag. So most of the people are not able to understand what this INP are, right? Although INP in today's web, you can say, I have talked about INPs a lot, basically in the Namaste front-end system design also. But again, as I said, FID is something that you can visualize it well, and it is very, very important to understand. Although from metrics point of view in Web Vitals we don't consider it longer, but from interactivity perspective you have to think, hey, you wrote a lot of JavaScript which is destroying your experience of a user. So you have to think how I can reduce the script as much as possible. Hence basically I do talk about the interactivity, the delays, basically interactivities and delays a lot. Perfect. So cool. So before we keep on jumping, guys, I just wanted to touch upon me. All of those contents are discussed in lot more depth, basically in Namaste front end system design. In case you don't know, please, I will recommend you go and touch upon this. I will show you people who have enrolled and people who have not enrolled. For both of guys, I will recommend go through this. I have covered in much more detail what tooling, how to optimize the different layer, right, what to build, what not to. So there are many things basically in lot more depth, basically I've covered over there. So please go watch these videos in much depth. You will get a lot of understanding. And at the same time, guys, whenever so there are a lot of interesting thing I keep on adding to this particular platform, which is codekarma.dev also. So I will highly recommend, guys, you go experience, share your experience, anything that you want me to improve, we will improve. There is also one thing interesting I started, and there are many videos I've also started putting in the front end system design course, check the JavaScript course as well. So do watch these, enroll into this is free, you don't have to pay any damn thing. So all the entire codekarma.dev platform till now is free, you don't have to pay anything basically on this platform. The only thing which I'm looking, do share me as much as feedback you can. So I'm here to provide all my best learnings basically, so that you can keep growing in your career. So that's my intent. And yep, so keep sharing, guys. I will also share here in case anyone is not enrolled into that. And I will also share Namaste uh, system design also in case anyone is looking for. Perfect. Okay, I'm going to take a couple of questions from the chat till now, and before I continue basically and talking about the different other perspectives. So let me see what we have in the chat. Oh, I see people are saying I know a couple of things in theoretically, but I don't monitor it practically. I will recommend, guys, go always. So I can show you one of the platform, some real metrics. I haven't not monitored from couple of days, but let's see what we have. Uh, um, shall I? Let me check if I can showcase those metrics to you guys. Just give me a second. Let's see what I have to showcase. Okay, I'm trying to pull a dashboard basically where I can show you some couple of interesting metrics to you guys. Okay, just give me a second. I'm trying to pull some of these metrics. Scroll depth inside. Let me see. Okay, so I did not realize I'm just seeing along with you guys. So example, guys, I'm not sure if, let me know if you guys are able to view this screen as well. Let's see. Let me check if you guys will be able to see this screen. No. Let me try to reshare the screen all together so that. Okay. I hope you will be able to see now. I'm hoping. Cool. So just let me know in the comment if you are able to see the performance screen, and I'm going to take a lot of questions from the chat as well. Uh, Great. So if you see the performance, like this is the for the codekarma.dev, definitely a lot of performance has to be improved, but you see the LCP basically is need to be improved. INP is also something, some need improvement. CLS is something which is poor, that could be improved. So what I meant by, there are platform, there are tools which helps you to basically do that. Clarity is one of them, which you can basically add on your website, and you will get a lot of these cool metrics, like from where the traffic is basically coming, right? So how many sessions are there, how deep, a lot of insight basically you can always get on your platform. Let me see if I had some heat map, I can show you some great heat maps also. So these are from experience perspective, can get to know what doing and how people are doing. That doesn't matter what we are talking about, but yes, this is the insight which matters, and I can try to show you why. Okay, there is a Google Analytics also which I added. I'm not sure why this is not visible over here. But what I meant by all of those metrics basically are something that are good to track, and you will get to know how your system is basically performing. Okay, so let me take a couple of questions basically from the chat. So someone is saying, "Good evening. I am following your channel for a long time and truly appreciate the value you share. I make sure you join. Okay, to join the live sessions, everyone. Thank you, Pranjul, for that, and I really appreciate that. I have recently completed my MCA and have built several projects using the MERN stack, which I have become quite comfortable with. However, I keep hearing the MERN opportunity are declining in 2025. It's not about that. You have to also understand there are so many people basically like doing the development. Like there are a lot of people now doing the computer science engineering, right? There's so many people getting into the software engineering. There's so many people getting into the, say, example, web development. So the problem is, if you are not above average, then you have a challenges in order to seek the right opportunity in the market. If you are below average, right, then there's a question mark for people, because the you have to think about, right, the opportunities in the market and people who are basically doing that. So either you become an average above, or you do something else, right, guys? To be very frank, I'm not scaring you, but at the same time I just want you understand things. Just don't opt for things because everyone is basically doing and I have to basically do that. You have to be smart enough in order to make that decision. If you choose to stick to it, then you have to put effort enough so that you are average and above. That is very very important, right? Coming to, I want to ask your honest opinion. Should I stick to the MERN stack, and should I expertise, or would it be wise to start exploring other stack like Java? So again, it is same with the Java Spring Boot. You go into anything, because the number of people who are doing, say, suppose Java Spring Boot, they are huge in the market, right? And the demand is always less. So you have to be average and above in any of the software engineering thing. Else there is definitely your need and opportunities are going to decline, and that's a harsh reality. And trust me, guys, I'm a person who generally don't give you the buttering answer so that make you satisfy. I want you to know the real fact so that you can push yourself to the reality of the word, right? Where this is something, either I wanted to stay, I have to put effort, else I will not be relevant in the market. That is the harsh reality. So you're okay. Pranjal, I hope I answered. Performance become a very critical thing if you have a product competitor in the market and you want your site to excel in all the field like SEO. Yes, why not? And that very very important. Even for SEO also, if your site is not performant, your ranking will be impacted. You will not be basically in the top ranking on the website. Will it also show about attackers? When you say about attackers, in terms of if someone is trying to maybe doing some kind of a attack on your website, no, performance will not basically show that metrics. There can be some possible impact if, say, suppose someone is trying to bombard so many requests on your website, and there can be small hiccup, but that's not the right way to monitor and identify if there is some attack on your website using seeing the performance metrics. No, that's not recommended at all. So someone is saying it's not the opportunity declining, it's competitive now. So just wanted to help you, right? It's the combination. When I say combination, when you have competitions, which is good. Example, let's take an example. When we started IIT JEE, right? So the number of seats were less, but people who were preparing for IIT JEE were also less, right? Now if you see, the number of seats has grown, no doubt, but the number of people who are applying for IIT JEE has also grown exponentially. So you cannot fit everyone basically into the number of seats which are available, right? So you have to be average and above in order to basically get into the and get your seat basically, right? So similarly, the number of opportunities that exist in market, you have to be basically average and above. If you are saying that, hey, I know certain things, I have done some course, I have built some basic things basically, and I'm good, and I am relevant for the market, probably that is what you have to rethink, right? You have to see what other people are doing, how much effort people are putting, and what is needed in the market. So you have to be relevant in the market, in short, right? If you're not relevant and other people are doing much better than you, then definitely, so company is going to hire a person with better expertise and experience, as compared to, hey, you want or you're curious just for curiosity, company don't pay, right? Perfect. Any other question, guys, before we jump into other parts? I just wanted to give you some more glimpses. uh, that makes sense. I like that statement. So be yourself, like improve your quality, in short. If you wanted to be on top of the quantity in the market, that's a nice way to say that. Great. What else? What else? Anything else, guys? So do help me with any other question in the chat, so that before we I jump into the other section, I can take any other questions. I just wanted to quickly touch upon that. Any other questions, guys? Cool, cool, cool. Okay, so again, before I jump into the other section, guys, I wanted to hear from you. What are the upcoming things that you will love me to cover in, say, suppose in the next session, in the live sessions, or any of the thing that you wanted to learn from me? Just put in the chat so that I can plan accordingly. So put in the chat what are the things that you love to learn from me. It can be in the live session, it can be on the Code Karma platform, it can be any medium, that hardly matters, but you would love to learn from me. Okay, so do put in the chat. I will read those things, and let me continue. Now, talking about all the three layers basically that we talked about, I'm coming back over here. Okay, so which is build and development, your network layer, your asset, and all sort of things. So I will be again try to touch as much as possible as I can in each of these layer, and before we jump into the other parts. Perfect. So let's go one at a time. Maybe I will start from the reverse side. So let me start from here, guys. So first, let's understand from asset perspective what are the different assets we have. So we have JavaScript, we have CSS, we have our images, we have audio, we have video, right? We need to think about how optimize we can optimize these performance to the maximum. So again, there are lot of content, lot of interesting thing to basically talk about. I may not be able to cover 100% of that, but I will give you the right glimpses so that you have fair idea from where to basically cover this. Okay, this is something I wanted to share with you guys. In case you have not already explored this part, please do. So, this is the asset basically optimization. I will help you to go to a place which is the right place for you to dig deeper and get a better understanding. So, let me help you. Let me see where that portion is where I kept all of those things. Oh, okay. Maybe this, right? Maybe, okay. I think this is the right place. Okay, so guys, this is the video which will definitely help you a lot, which is in CSS, in JavaScript, you have to think about, you can use the defer or async, you can use web worker, you can use lazy loading basically, right? Similarly, in CSS, lazy loading, critical CSS rendering, those kind of a thing basically which important. In fonts, you have to think about, can you preload certain things? Can you load in a async fashion? Can you use observable in order to do that? Can you use data URI basically? There are some decorators basically that can be leveraged. For some videos, you have to think about, is there any progressive enhancement that basically we can use? Can we replace our GIF with the videos? Can we have a responsive poster banners? Can we use streamings, right? Can we use some preload? There are many of those things basically that are going to be covered in the videos. Similarly, for images, compression, there are a lot of techniques basically which I try to cover from the asset optimization perspective. So if you go through this video, you will have a very fair understanding how in depth basically we can optimize any of those things. Then coming talking about some rendering things. When I say rendering, there are things that you have to think about. We know about client side rendering. Client side rendering, it means your build will say that, hey, take everything on the client, I will give you JavaScript, HTML, everything. You build the entire application, your entire DOM using JavaScript. Your JavaScript is running like a machine and basically you can say fitting and manufacturing all sort of part. Now you can think about, i shipped I shipped something from factory into a very small part, and I gave every those small part to the house, and I said, hey, bring a carpenter and try to assemble everything from a small pieces. That is called client side rendering. There is called server side rendering. Server side rendering is like, I will try to assemble most of these pieces in a very decent fashion so that I can ship it. And now at your home, you have to use very small little screws in order to assemble your cot. You don't have to start from a very small bottom up. You have to start with the bigger chunks available and use a screw in order to fit, and maybe 5 minutes you are ready with your cot. That is something which happens where your HTML get rendered from the server itself. Now in browser, you are putting some JavaScript to make your page interactive. We call it hydration. So what you do on the browser, you hydrate your HTML page so that it can become interactive. You can perform, you can click, you can scroll, and you can have some event related behavior on your website, right? That is what we call. There is another thing which is called static uh, static site SSG basically. So static site generation, which means I have already prepared, bundled at the time of manufacturing itself. There are pieces which are ready to be used and consumed. Example, your side table. Your side table near the bed. It's very small, it's portable, it's ready from the manufacturer itself. You have drawer, you have everything as a part of that. So when I'm shipping you, I'm making it ready with every bed, I'm sending it right along with that, so that you don't have to prepare every time. You don't have to generate whenever there is a ask from browser to the server. So it's like, so your server says that I have these side table ready in general for any request for any bed that you wanted to basically ship. It's already ready with me. So like, I'm giving you as a topping. So you don't have to prepare with every bed request. That is interesting, that happens in case of the rendering. In case of React optimization, many things have changed. Similarly, Java optimization, I will recommend guys, go through this third video. Basically, this is, you don't know JavaScript yet, which is performance optimization. This will give you a very fair understanding what people do generally mistake when handling with JavaScript. Most of the people don't really know how to tackle the JavaScript, or the JavaScript that you are writing behind the scene. There can be performance glitch. So if you go through this video, you will, there are many, I think 8 9 techniques, I think 10 techniques something which I tried covering over here, which are 10 bottleneck basically. So there are 8 or 10. These are 10 techniques basically which I talked about in this particular video. So do check that out, and I hope you will learn a lot of those things over here. Now, similarly, coming to the network layer, in network layer also there are so many things basically that happen that you have to think about. So I can help you a couple of things. First, try to see if there are some HTTP2. So which protocol basically you wanted to leverage, try to like try to get to that. There is something called resource hinting, guys. When I say resource hinting, in resource hinting there are many things, like you have preload, prefetch, DNS prefetch. If you don't know about this terminology, again I will recommend going to the network video. You will learn a lot of those techniques, right? So try to get as much as basically possible in order to understand what are those resource hinting basically which are available. There are many such basically techniques that exist, right? Apart from that, I will recommend you to understand the compression techniques. So when you are shipping something, are you compressing using some gzip kind of a, or broadly kind of a compression? That kind of a thing that you have to think about. The caching policy, like if certain repeated requests are basically coming, do you really wanted to make those calls again and again? So maybe not. So think about how I can use right caching policy in order to optimize my request, right? So there are many such techniques which I have covered again in the network optimization. Try to think how basically we can use and what best can be used. Similarly, when I say in terms of when you are bundling things, think about chunking. Very important. Creating small bundles. Try to think about if you can do some, what need to be done SSR and what need to be done as you can say client side rendering. That decision has to be taken at the time of you can say dev and build, although it will impact at the time of rendering, but this decision has to be taken at the server level. So try to take those suggestions as much as possible. That is going to help you, right? So try to see if certain things can be decided earlier, what exactly has to be rendered. Maybe do server side rendering. Certain things that you are, hey, these are going to change very frequently, dynamically, going to different for different users, probably do the client side rendering. So right, many of those decision has to be basically taken. So again, there are many things that has to be done on the server. When I say when you are building things, many of those decision has to be taken. So I can talk n number of things. So use right bundler. Very important, guys. Using the right bundler. Most of the people are, hey, market is about webpack, let's use webpack. I will tell you a small story. Current project in Microsoft, we use webpack as an bundler, and it's huge. When I say huge, it is basically huge to an extent. We have more than, I think, more than 300 packages, at least even more than 300 packages we have, right? So we have to generate those packages, build those packages, bundle those packages. We have to do a hell lot of those things with those you can say huge repo that we play with. Webpack comes with some limitation, and it start creating problem for the development experience. When we try to be more fast, develop things fast, have less dependencies, and it start screwing up, right? So we are also experimenting with the different bundlers, trying to go beyond webpack. So you have to, so there is no single silver bullet where people say that, hey, use parcel and parcel does the magic. Guys, it may be doing a magic for a very small application. If you have really faced complex application, you will not never ever say that, hey, this is a single short bullet, you use it and it will solve all your problem. That generally comes with a newbie, where you see something trending in the market and you say that, hey, it commits that it is good, let's leverage it. That doesn't happen. You have to really face those problems and challenges with different bundler, and then you will realize there is no silver bullet for any of those cases. Every application has different challenges, and you have to understand those challenges and then come up with the right bundler and technique, instead of saying that, hey, this is one, you use it and your life is jingalala. That doesn't happen, guys. Trust me. The life is more complex depending on the scenario, ecosystem, and whatnot. Great. Again, let me take some of the questions basically which are coming. Okay, some people are suggesting how can I make AI proof as a front end developer, that's a good topic basically. I will definitely try to cover basically this topic in upcoming videos. I wanted to learn things principal software engineer should know as in. So by the way, guys, who are talking about what principal engineer or lead engineer basically does, I'm not sure if you know about this. I created this course with the same intent. So, which is this, guys. This course was created with the same intent where you get everything with a much more clarity. If you see the career path of a front end developer, this is what you are talking about. I've literally drilled around what SD1, SD2, SD3 lead does, what you can expect in terms of salaries at different level, expectations, how things keep on differing, how the life of a front end, all of those things I have covered in much depth. If someone is interested, if not explored or already this, I will recommend go check this out. You will definitely benefit from that. Let me see other things. What people are saying. Most of the channel try to play around with the AI, but using the Python. So maybe good if you can start something for the AI stuff like Longchain. Okay, and then eight MCP. All they will try to build the real world projects. That's also Harish. That's a good idea, and definitely that is one of the things in my mind. Let me get back on that, and those should be 3-4 of a single video which covers the in-depth of that specific topic. Yep, that is one of top of my mind. Let me see how I wanted to do that. Hey Chirag, I just noticed you are live on the YouTube, so just Nabil, good to see you, man. So Nabil is one of my great buddy from my first company in Bangalore. So thanks Nabil for coming and saying hi. Good to see you basically. Definitely seeing your chat. Cool. So there's a Pranjul nice suggestion. Discount coupon I have already shared. Please suggest the project that we can make. Okay, Pranjul. I will share those projects and all sort of thing as well. Don't worry. Perfect. With that, let me quickly see. Okay. I hope you guys are able to see my screen on build dev tools and all sort of thing. I hope. Yep. Great. Any other question, guys? Any other questions before I jump on the last part, basically that I wanted to cover in today's session? Any other questions, guys? No? Okay. There are two things in terms of measuring performance I wanted to talk about. One is there are lot of default APIs that exist. You chip in Clarity or chip in Google Analytics. They do the behind the scene job for you in order to monitor things, right? But when you really wanted to understand different metrics, granular metrics of your application, how certain things basically happens and what happens, then these things do matter. Example, these are the two APIs, web APIs I wanted to share. One is performance API and second is resource timing APIs, guys. When I say performance APIs, you can see there are many information that you get from the performance API, like largest contentful paint, there is any shift, there is a event there, any custom benchmark that you wanted to add in a performance example. So today also I do a lot of those things in our web application, but when you are writing some JavaScript which are very critical and performance critical, in such case you write some performance metrics as well, performance markers, custom marker. Example, you wrote some JavaScript which is going to take a lot of time and you wanted to see how much time it is taking for different customers and what is the average and what is the maximum and what not, right? Because different machines, different RAM and configurations, basically CPU configuration can take different time. So for that, what you do, you use a custom performance marker where you start a marker and end a marker, and in between you write your heavy JavaScript. That way you are able to monitor and see what are the different performance markers that you are getting for different customers. So those are something which are good, and this is used a lot. I do use performance marker a lot, and I will recommend you to check out these guys to a very large extent. Similarly, resource timing I'm talking about, there are many such things that happens in the resource timing, guys, which is network timing. So try to understand your network layer, the different metrics, where the exact problem is. Either the problem is on the server, or the problem is on the client, or it is in the network layer. Where exactly the problem is something you will get to know when you understand this resource timing much better. So try to get deep understanding of each of these numbers that you get for a request in your machine or for an application. You will have a better understanding. You will be able to exactly pinpoint where the problem is. I will give you a small example. In one of the application that like we were handling, we got to know there was a problem in the redirect itself. Because if you know, there is a temporary redirect and there is a permanent redirect that happens, and we used to have a redirect based on if the user is logged in or not. If the user is logged in, we take it to the other different place, and if the user is not logged in, we take the user to the different place, right? Such things basically we monitor using the resource loading timing, right? And for us, the redirect was a high value, and hence we were able to identify where the bottleneck is. So what I meant by, so each of these numbers that you get are very critical to identify the exact root cause of the problem or the challenges that you are facing. Great. So these are two performance APIs, web APIs. I will recommend, if you have not dig deeper, please go dig deeper, and it will help you to understand your application, the problem challenges in much better way. Great. With that, yep, I'm going to take any question that you have, guys, and I think we are uh, good at to extent. So I'm all open to take any question that you have, guys. So I'll be taking questions from the YT live, and I will highly recommend, guys, to go through the videos links which I have shared in the chat. You will get much deep understanding on each one of them. Great. So just wanted to check, guys, are you enjoying these monthly live sessions where you get a broader understanding of different topics? Basically, at least you get to know what is needed, what is relevant, what is not relevant, what you should focus, from where you should focus. At least I'm trying to give you a bigger picture, so that you have something to get started. So let me know if you are enjoying in the chat. Hey, yeah, I'm enjoying. And you want me to continue doing the monthly live session with some topics, some suggestions that you guys come up with, I'll be happy to take those things. So yep, I will be there for another couple of minutes taking questions from the chat. Any suggestions, any feedback, I'm happy to take those questions. Awesome. Cool. I don't see much thing on the chat. uh, any suggestion, any feedback, any questions, happy to take address. Great. So we'll be waiting for another 2 minutes, and then we will end the today's live session. Awesome. Awesome. Great. So guys, I hope you enjoyed the session. Yeah. With that, see you guys. Bye bye. We'll meet next month, and I will try generating more content. In case you don't know, I've also started check the JavaScript series on YT, and you will get more and more videos on that. And I've tried to cover lot of nuances basically on the JavaScript side. It's starting from very fundamental, but going to very advanced, where most of the people make mistake in interviews and doing the real web development. So I've tried covering everything in much depth, and most of the people may think, hey, why I am covering JavaScript now when everyone knows that? Trust me, guys, we feel like we know that. There are many things that you still being, like, I working at 10 years of experience, I keep doing those mistakes in my day-to-day development, right? And I've tried to cover all of them basically in Chuck the JavaScript to a very, very large extent. Yeah. Thanks everyone, and do share your love, do share the channel, do share the videos to as much as possible people, so that yes, more and more people I can try sharing my efforts, my learnings, and make more people capable enough. Chalo, with that, see you guys. Bye bye. Thanks a lot. See you. Bye bye. WebAssembly, yeah. This is one of the topic I will be covering. Web security, I have covered, but I can recover in some of the sessions again. Architecture level, I can plan for one of the architecture level discussion as well. Why not? Khan? Definitely works.